Welcome to Nanny News. I am your host, Ashley, and you can follow us on all social media platforms at The Nanny News. We are a channel that shares the juiciest things that we can find in the nanny industry. Last week, we covered about 6 different stories, ranging from celebrity drama, which is the juiciest, and we covered about how some nannies had some very traumatic days, and also how the minimum wage is going up for us domestic workers. It's an episode that you don't want to miss. But today, you are in for a treat. We sat down with Simone, which she is the face and the owner behind the Black Nanny Network. Her story is absolutely amazing. This is the first time she has sat down in front of a camera and shared her story to an audience. So guys, make sure you show her lots of love by liking this video, commenting below about what's your favorite thing about her journey, if you can relate to her journey. Also guys, make sure you show her some love by following her social medias, which is all linked on our description here below this video. So without further ado guys, let's sit back, let's relax, and let's get to another amazing nanny story. Hey guys, welcome back to a Nanny News. I have a special treat for you today. I am sitting down with Simone. She is the owner and the face behind the Black Nanny Network. And I am just so eager to hear her story and to find out more about this wonderful network that she is creating out here. Here in the West Coast, but potential where it is a nationwide network, but anyways, we're gonna get into it. Simone, I'm gonna have you introduce yourself. Tell them a little bit of a little bit about yourself, where you're at right now, like located, and yeah, we'll go from there.
I'm Simone. I'm located in Los Angeles, California, originally from Portland, Oregon, nannying
Okay.
for family full time. But, I also dabble in event planning and social media management, do all those kinds of things. Very big into with the wellness space as well, which I'll get more into. But right here, Los Angeles, love it here. I went to San Francisco State University.
Okay.
Um, Moved to Paris, France after, became an au pair.
Okay. Uh,
Yeah, which was like, how can I
okay.
go abroad and get paid, but not have to pay rent? And that's what I did, was becoming an au pair. And that completely changed the trajectory of nannying for me. So,
Really?
mhm.
Wow, that's so cool. I had no idea that. So like you have to tell me more about the abroad. And so was it kind of like a fluke, or was it like you had it planned? Like how did it all happen? Like what happened? Like where did you tell me, if you can. I know sometimes people can't share. So
I want to say it's like a fluke, to be honest. So I
really?
moved to San Francisco, was there for 2 years,
Okay.
started nannying my senior year, just for some extra money. I was also a full-time student athlete. I did track and field through javelin, through hammer,
Okay.
plus Sephora part-time too. But I was like, oh, I need more money. That hustle mentality. I'm like, what am I naturally good at? Kids. So I got an
Okay.
urban sitter. That's my claim to
Okay.
fame. Urban sitter, and started just, babysitting. And eventually I hooked a family and I was with them 2 to 3 nights a week after school. Um, so doing that, and then I saw my friend that I went to junior college with before I transferred. She was an au pair, which I never heard
Okay.
before. I'm like, what is this? She, I think, left college and moved to Australia. And I was like,
Mm.
tell me more. And she was like, basically, it's a live-in nanny. They pay you for your time, but it's offset by your room and board and food. So I was like, okay, bet. Like, where have I always wanted to go? So as my mom is driving me back to college from Oregon, I'm like, Mom, I'm going to move to Paris. I was like, I'm going to be an au pair and I'm going to move to Paris. And that was the decision. Like, I'd never in my life, I've never been out of the country that far by myself.
What?
I was just like, I'm going to move. And that was what, August. And I moved that July, the next following July after graduation.
Oh my goodness, girl.
And
Oh.
I was telling people like, yeah, I'm gonna move to Paris after I graduate. I'm gonna be an au pair. And I didn't have a family set. I didn't have my profile set. So it was actually when I was babysitting. It was New Year's Eve. And I brought
Mhm.
my computer with me and I made my profile and I was like, I'm gonna do this. hmm And I did it, which is so weird, but it's like I'm the type of person, I jump into things
Okay.
without researching, without knowing,
I
without
love
testing
that.
waters. Like I just go in. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's to a fault, but
I feel
nothing
you.
to fail but a try.
No, yeah. I feel
Like,
you on that. Yeah. Wow, girl, that's like amazing. Like I give you so much props. Like to just pick up yourself and then like how long were you there? And like when you got there, was it easy? Like did you fall in love right away? Was it kind of like, oh God, what did I do?
so
Was
I love the family that I was with. I love the family
okay,
that
that's
loved me a lot.
the best thing ever.
I
Okay,
nannied
good.
for twin boys. There were three. The only thing I would say is that I didn't do my research as far as like where they were located. So I wasn't in Paris proper. I was like a train ride away, which
Okay.
looking back, I think it really benefited me because I was in this nicer suburb and I wasn't in the hustle and bustle. So I had a lot of quiet time.
Mm,
And to come back to the wellness part, I had to
got you.
break down to build myself back up. I didn't know anyone. The language was crazy. I spoke fluent French when I was in kindergarten. I lived in Montreal for a year. So I was
Uh,
like
okay.
thinking I'd like pick it back up. No, like I didn't. I did eventually a little bit, but it was so overwhelming to my mind because I felt alone for the
Yeah.
first time. I could not navigate where I was
Mm-hmm.
emotionally, directionally, physically. I was in such a new space. But it ended up being okay, but it put me in a point of fight or flight, right? Of like, you're either going to go home or you're going to do this. And I
Yeah.
did it. So from then, um, I think it took me some time having the boys and knowing, love is love, care is care, childcare
Right.
is universal. So that was easy. That was something that I dove into, learning their schedule, picking them up, um, preparing their lunch, taking them back
Yeah.
to school. I actually did a
Yeah.
lot of housekeeping. So I was like the housekeeper and the au pair, which I think kind of I struggled with a little bit
Yeah.
because I'm keeping a house and I'm keeping the kids like that, I think was very hard for me. So
Mm-hmm.
tip number one, read your contract and have firm expectations. I don't think I did that looking back, but it's okay. We're here now. I learned
No,
how to
it's your
clean the
first
hell out of
one.
a
Yeah.
house.
Yeah. Like your first assignment is always something like you're learning a lot. So but
and then I
yeah.
think to be very transparent, I ended up going to therapy in Paris. I found a English speaking therapist
Yeah.
that I could afford on my 80 euros a week salary. But
Mm-hmm.
that's like $75 USD a week.
Yep. That's what I was like. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was grateful, but I was like, wow.
No.
So I was going through a lot of change. I was going through a lot of isolation. I was going through a lot of discomfort, but there's no growth without it. So I was like, look, if I'm going to make the best of myself and be the best self I can be, I need to go to therapy. So I went to therapy and it was life changing. I always say I became a woman in Paris because
Wow.
I learned to make myself my home.
Yeah.
No matter
That's
where I am in
amazing.
the world, I'm good because I know me, because I have the core, the foundation, the roots, right? Like I can pick up and go and be good anywhere.
Yeah. That's
So
that's a
it was
tool, a powerful tool that you learned right there.
a powerful tool. I'll never forget it. I have the journal entries. I wrote my
I
life
bet.
right there. I wrote a
Yeah.
book. I was writing poems. I was healing through all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Um, I was healing through childhood trauma I didn't recognize, teenage trauma, middle school trauma. And I'm like, where is this coming from? And I really think that why I became a nanny too is to heal that little girl I wanted to protect,
Mm-hmm.
to give children the safe space to be themselves and be nurtured and know that if they fall, someone's there to pick them up, but
Wow.
also love them authentically to themselves. And I'm not saying that my childhood was crazy or like detrimental, but there's little things as far as bullying,
Yep.
being different, being bigger as I was growing up, circumstances, things that just happen to you that you can't control. I just told myself if I can love these kids, then maybe I can love myself a bit more.
Yeah. Your story is just so inspirational to me. And I that's like I can't even imagine picking up my stuff and going across the country. Like I kind of did the same in a bit. I went across the states though, not
Mhm.
the country. So and to me, I that was a lot for me. So I couldn't even imagine going across the country. And I kudos to you. And I'm just very intrigued more to learn now. So when you came back to the States, did you go back straight to California? Did you know like that's where you wanted to like stay, or what made you come back to the States since Paris was going somewhat after a while okay for you? What made you want to come back?
Well, I had a year contract, so it was kind of like, okay, I'm gonna do my year
Okay.
and come back. I mean, I always had an opportunity to like find another family or do something, but I ultimately wanted that experience for a year and then come back to the States. Looking back at it, I think I probably should have pushed it a second year because I found myself like extremely depressed when I came back because the US is not, it's different, right? Like
Yeah.
you live abroad for a second, you're like, I don't know if this is meant for me, this space,
Mm-hmm.
like my healthcare, the food, just the people, the culture. I was so happy. I wasn't othered there, right? I wasn't placed in a
Mm-hmm.
box. I was able to freely live and move the way that I wanted to without feeling like there was a microscope on me. Um, and I think that's how a lot of women of color live in the US too, is just feeling judged, knowing you have to work 10 times harder than our counterparts. Um, just always just feeling less than too. And
Mm-hmm.
in Paris, Black women are praised over there, okay? Like,
Really?
and I'm not even saying that from the childcare's perspective, I'm saying it from a human perspective.
No, yeah.
I felt so empowered just being there,
Yeah.
excited to just be there because people were so
Mm,
interested in who I was, right? And
mm,
so that was exciting to be in a new space where I wasn't triggered from being bullied. I
yeah.
wasn't triggered from being othered or not fitting in with certain groups. I was
Yep.
just happy because
Yeah.
this is really a melting pot of everybody, everything, all walks of life. So it
Mm.
was super comfortable. I definitely forgot the actual initial question. I
But
was like,
well, I kind of want to know, but since that, like, we can gear towards, I want to know, like, how was the difference between, like, because I know some, like, the childcare, like, and like the parenting style. I know, obviously, the life, I know some of the, like, the housing and
mm,
some of the is different than out here, but like, there's some basics when all kids kind of grow up with like education, things like that. I just wanted to know, like, how is the difference, from working abroad and then coming to work in the States with childcare? Was it hard to like, is it harder to connect with the parents out there, or is it easier, harder here? Or like, vice versa, or
really good question. I feel like I could answer that better if I was with like a few more families out there. Sorry,
okay. No,
like
you're
my allergies, but we're good.
no,
I feel like so my family really wanted to do like Montessori style. So the kids were really self-sufficient, um,
okay.
got themselves dressed. They learned to make their bed. They got their clothes, like their jackets on and their hat on, their backpack ready for the day. They would have it at, their level so that they could really do it themselves. They had their cleaning
Mm-hmm.
tools, they had their kitchen set. So it was very fluid. It wasn't like girls only play with Barbies and boys only play with cars. Like the parents really incorporated everything into it. And
Okay.
my mom was an English teacher. So she was very
Mm,
aware of like the US practices and Montessori style and just like it felt like a US family living in
and
Paris almost,
I
right?
got you. Okay.
And the only thing I think I would say is different is the mom, bless her heart, she cooked every night for us. Every
Mm,
night. So we had a homemade meal and we would sit together as a family at the table, no excuses. And that's
mm,
something I think that some US families don't prioritize. So though I was a live-in, so I was kind of forced to, transition and integrate into their family, which is great.
hmm.
I learned a lot.
I'm
I don't
sure.
think like the boundaries weren't as strict as in the US families where they're like, be seen, not heard. We're gonna have dinner now. Like
Yeah.
you can go or you can eat. But like, it's not, I wouldn't say it's like the help, but it was very family based for me in Paris.
Yeah.
Whereas jobs here was like you can cook the food, plate the food, and then you can go,
Mm.
kind of thing.
That thing, yeah. No, I know what you mean by that. That's really interesting. When you came back, so are you now, well, you are are you doing living now in the States?
Ma'am, no, ma'am, I gotta have a
She
life
said
here.
that. She said that so quick. No, man.
Um,
Did you when you first came back, or were you like, no, there's no way, and I will because
I was actually open to it because I didn't have
okay,
to live.
I got you.
So I was like, I'm already, equipped for this. I've done it before. Because that's a transition too, learning to live with a family who already has
Uh,
set boundaries, right? Like I
yes.
had to be home. I had Friday through Sunday off. I had to be home by 5 or 6 for dinner, right? And I didn't have
Eh,
like
oh, that's even on the weekends, girl. When you were on your days off,
Sunday.
you had to oh,
Sunday.
on your Sunday, like when you come back home.
But if
Okay, all
I were
right,
going to the club or something, maybe I'd have to get an Airbnb because the kids and the parents are already asleep by 10, right? Like I was 24, 23, 24.
yeah, no, it makes sense. Yeah,
I'm
you
gonna go
should
out.
be. Ew.
So I found myself Airbnb-ing a lot because it was
Okay,
the boundary of, do I want a curfew or do I want to go out?
I
Because I had
got
a
you.
curfew during the weekday. So I struggled with that coming out of college
Mm,
because I
see,
had
that's
to respect their
interesting.
boundaries, which I,
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah,
because I think about it, if I'm in a small apartment and I have twins that need their rest and I have work in the morning and I have a live-in nanny,
I didn't
like,
even.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry, non-negotiable. You're not going to wake us up, come in at 12 a.m. and think that we don't hear you, right? Like we
right,
don't have 6 hours. So I understood that, but it was difficult for me because it was like, well, what if my friends want to go to dinner,
right.
you know, or I didn't miss a dinner during the week. The only time I came home late was when I had French class. So
Mm,
I think as a newly graduated college student, I was like, ooh, I miss my freedom. I want to be
mm,
outside. What I
yeah,
had to be
yeah,
very regimented. So I found myself journaling a lot, obviously watching a lot of Netflix in the evening, but just spending a lot of time with myself,
yeah.
going on a lot
Wow.
of walks, a lot of walks,
Yeah.
a lot of podcasts. So I just learned to like entertain on my own.
Hmm, that's
Yes, I'm
interesting.
not a live-in here. I
I
work 8 to 7. I get my workouts in. I have a life. My partner and I live together. So it's like we're building our own life outside of my work life. But of course, I do overnights and everything else. But there is a
of
fine
course.
line of like, I don't, the only thing I would consider is if I was like a week on, week off, right? Or like a
You
2 week
just
on,
like
week
me.
off.
Yeah, that's me, girl, all the way. Yeah, I feel you 100% on that.
Because
Some
I
and
just,
go
that
ahead,
you're
go ahead.
accessible,
Yeah,
right? When you're living, you're too accessible. There's no
thank
boundary.
you.
And I see it
They
time and time again.
thank you. No matter how hard you kind of try to put the boundaries there, there's always going to be a point where the boundaries are going to get placed in, or broken in a living. I experienced it for a little bit as well, and it was just not. Yeah, it
It
wasn't for me.
what gets me is like, because my friend, she was a
Now, some
live-in.
people it is.
Yeah,
Yeah, like,
my friend was a live-in and she is done in June. But she'd have time off, but the mom would kind of see her like chilling or whatever. She's like, well, so since you're not doing anything, can you help me with this?
see,
And I'm like, see,
yeah.
there's no clear line. There's no
Mm-mm.
clear line. And so she was burnt out. And that's my
Yeah,
goal. I was like, run, don't walk. You need to quit.
yeah.
Because they would
Nah.
continuously do this to her. Oh yeah, Friday off. Actually, we need you in the morning. Actually, we need you
Mm-mm.
for this. And I'm like,
Nah, that's just use and abuse right there.
and
Yeah.
unfortunately, and I'm not speaking for all, but I've seen it in a lot of high profile families because my last family, and it was during the pandemic, the excuse was like, can you work? So I worked 8 to 4, right? It's 2:30, the baby's down for a nap. The mom's like, can you work until 8? And I'm like, hmm. And of course, this is my first job in LA, right? So I'm like, I need the money, whatever.
No, yeah, especially in
And
LA,
find my
especially in
voice.
LA.
And it was the pandemic. What else do you have to do?
No, exactly.
That was like the number one excuse is the pandemic. What else do you have to do? What
To do.
am I going to do? Just, I don't know. It just felt like, especially being early in nannying,
Yeah.
I could not speak up. I could not say no because I didn't want to lose my job.
Yeah.
You now this family is great with boundaries and they tell
That's
me
good.
in advance or a day or two, but like just feeling used and abused, burnt down. My boyfriend was like, this is slave labor. I was like, it
Sound like my
is.
partner too.
Yeah, because I was
Like,
working 60 hours a week.
yeah. No, and
Mhm.
and some of the things that you say that we do to our
Yeah,
partners or to our friends that they're just like, why? Like, why are you doing that? Or like, why? Or well, I would never do that. And I'd be like, well, that's why our job is so unique and special, and you can't really relate unless you're a nanny.
exactly.
Like,
You don't have to,
yeah,
but it's that's also why like leaving my last job really propelled me into finding my personal peace because
yeah,
I was going to lose it. To
yeah.
be frankly, frank, I was going to lose my mind because there was no line between me and the family's needs. There was like no clear boundary of this is what Simone needs, this is what the family needs. Because at this moment, I was feeding the need of them, of theirs, which I love to do, but I also like need them to see me,
That no, it's
to see
yeah.
us.
Yeah, no, it's a two-way street. If that's we deserve just as much of the respect as much as we give them. We care so much about them, so they should give us the care back.
Yeah. And
Like,
I'm not on here to like talk about like families and like, oh, like, they're so bad. Like, I'm not belittling families at all,
no,
but I'm speaking from experience of just
it's
the burnout and then bridging it to wellness and
I
how
was
many,
just about to say, yeah. Then we'll start switching it over because that's what I'm like. Now we got to that, and that's all part of your story. Like we all have been there. So, and it's no bashing any families or any whatsoever. Like we all have to live and learn this industry. We're on our own. Like we're our own HR, we're our own bosses in some way aspect.
oh,
We're our own trainers. We have to train ourselves and learn on our own. So like it's all about living and learning in each like assignment that we get and
yeah.
you have to learn from. But I want to switch kind of gears and talk to you about this amazing network that you have started. And I
Mhm.
want you to like, just kind of explain how you started this and why you started the Black Nanny Network and how came up with the name and what's your overall theme and goal for it. But we can just, how did you get started with this network and how did you name it the Black Nanny Network?
Okay. Great question. Great question.
No,
Um,
I don't put you on the spot. Sorry.
no, it's okay because it happened so fast, right? Like
Yeah.
I have some friends here that are nannies, and I was like, okay, like I love that, but like I wonder like where the Black women are. Like where are the people that can relate to me specifically? Where I can hang out outside of being a nanny, where we can just really commune and be together and talk and vent and support one another in a space that feels like it was made for us by us. And so
Mm.
then I just like on a whim thought of the Black Nanny Network. I swear to God, I didn't do anything crazy. I was just like, oh, like Black Nanny Network. And as I was writing my personal statement for graduate school, um, I just used that as like a force of like one thing that I would like to do as an extracurricular passion project. And it was the Black Nanny Network. And so then I was thinking to myself, I was like, well, if I get into graduate school, like, what am I waiting for? Like, why can't I just do this now? So this was
Mm.
all from March to now. Yeah, 2 months of just like thinking of the idea, launching it, and now talking about it, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
very, very new.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting into graduate school, which is awesome because
Yay,
now I can kind of
congratulations.
harness this platform and bring it into graduate school and make it more of a business or more of a community and understand better like what we need. But aside
Hmm.
from that, this is just really a passion project, a community that I want to build out for like wellness events, groups. I started doing a lot of stuff on social media, nothing crazy, but like journal prompts and reminders of to take care of yourself. Just simple things so that you have that, oh, like let me just do something for me real quick. Did I meditate for 5 minutes? What am I doing while the baby is down? Checking in with myself, understanding like, am I hungry? Am I thirsty? Am I fatigued? Am I okay? Those things that we don't do, that we're constantly checking in on the babies, like, are
Mhm.
you okay? Do you need to go to the bathroom? How are you feeling? Should we go now? Those are the same questions we should be asking ourselves,
Mhm.
right? Or even the meals that we
Mhm.
make for our babies, like those are the same kind of meals we should be making ourselves at home. Like we don't need to eat cereal every night. Like we
Yeah.
have to put ourselves first too. You know what I mean? And show up as our best selves in and off the court, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I don't know exactly where this will turn out or how exactly like it will be, to be quite honest. But I know that I've created a network that I hope impacts the West Coast and eventually, the States.
Mhm.
That's my purpose. And I've talked to Kay, who has melanated nannies, and she's in the South, East Coast area, and a
Yeah.
lot of the women who are already really connected and of color. And I love that. And I'm bringing them in as well. And I realize that I'm not the only one doing this. So I'm not trying to be the same or like, oh, like they're doing the same thing. Like, let me stop. Like, one day I'll find my niche. One day I'll find what fits. But it's all about collaboration. It's all about community. Kay and I are like extremely close now as far as just like collaborating and bringing our networks together. And it's like, well, what can I do to help you? And how can I help her? Right. And it's just about
Mhm.
bridging that gap, you know,
Yes. Yeah.
becoming just becoming our best selves, healed,
Mm.
whole, happier.
I love that. So, if people want to follow you or find more about this network or to get more of your journal props, do you have like a website or a I know we are on social media. I will also be I'm putting everything below, but I just want to, let your website so everybody can go. Is that where you put some of your journal props or is it more on your social media so people
Yeah.
can to tag along with that?
So I have journal prompts. I also have resources if you are in LA. So I have
Okay.
Manal, who is she is a confidence coach and styling consultant. Have Eric
Ooh.
Dahl, who's an ultimate transformations. He is everything mind, body, soul, fitness.
Okay.
And then Paris Coleman, who is the founder of Black Om, who she's also a yogi and a real estate broker. So I'm
Okay.
starting my resources page. So women or
Cool.
anybody can come in and kind of, pick and choose what they need at that moment for themselves. And then I do have some blog posts as well. But you can find that at the blacknannynetwork.com.
At the Black Nanny Network. Okay, cool. Oh wow.
Everything Black Nanny Network.
I will have to list send me those some of your resources and I'll make sure I just put it down below for them to you know,
Yeah.
like know they know their names as well.
Yeah.
But so do you have anything coming up with the Black Nanny Network or with just yourself in general, like any events, or are you planning on attending on anything here soon? Um,
We have Kay and I, Melanated Nannies and Black Nanny Network, have a
yep.
Instagram live on Monday at 4 p.m. PST and 7 p.m. EST.
I love seeing the Pacific Standard Time. Anyways,
Me too. I'm like,
yeah, I
gotta
love
go
it.
for it. So we're
Yes,
gonna
but
be going live and talking about finding peace in the workplace and cultivating, just your inner own. And so
ooh,
yeah, so that's our next thing. Slowly building out next
yeah.
projects. Would love to collab with you. Come to LA, I can go to Vegas, and we can just talk more about, what we want to do together.
Yeah. Well, I want to kind of wrap up our interview and just I just want to thank you so much for sharing your story. Girl, we're gonna have to do a part two with this, especially because I definitely know we're going to collab together. But I definitely want to do like a part two and just kind of learn more, just talk more about once, more about the business here soon, we'll do a check-in in a couple months with each other, just, about the Black Nanny Network and maybe do a little bit more about your nanny story because you're a journey girl. Has
I
that's
mean,
it's
what
a
was I
it's a yeah, I love that. Like your journey is I love it. Like I just didn't I had no idea. And I didn't know you was abroad and I didn't know it was like kind of like a fluke and here you are like it was like meant to be. Like it was just a fluke was meant to be. Like and it's
yes,
just you just
and
came up and kind of just went up and go and like I just like because I kind of did the same and I'm like but I didn't do it like that. I'm like dang, I give you so
no,
much props because I just
amazing.
couldn't even imagine. So thank you so much for being on Nanny News and letting me connect with you. I'm so glad we finally got to talk. And yeah, anyways, guys, you guys, I will put everything below all of her social medias on the blacknannynetwork.com, some of her resources that she has already. And thanks, Simone, so much for being
You're welcome.
here.